In this lesson, we'll review modifiers. Modifiers are words or phrases that describe something else. They should be placed as close as possible to the word or words they describe. If misplaced, intended meanings may not be clear. The ACT exam will have underlined modifiers, and you will need to choose the correct placements. Let's look at some examples in the classroom now. Let's talk about modifiers. To put it simply, a modifier is a word that affects the meaning of another. So its placement is going to make a big difference on the ACT exam. Let's take a look at some examples. In example 1, we're given with a sentence. The man was washing his car in a tank top. Taking that sentence by itself, we can imagine a man washing his car, probably wearing a tank top. But this actually has a misplaced modifier in it, as one could also imagine the car having the tank top because the modifier is placed in an incorrect area. If we look at it there, the man was washing his car in a tank top. In a tank top is closer to the word car than it is to the word man. Therefore, it's possible for someone to be confused as to what is actually being said in the sentence. So modifier placement is important. You want to make sure it's close to the word it's modifying. So the sentence, the man was washing his car in a tank top, needs to be changed to the man in a tank top was washing his car. So you want to watch on the ACT. If a modifier is underlined, they're asking for different positions of it. What makes the most sense? Always try and put the modifier closest to the word that it makes sense to be modifying. Let's look at another example. The athlete almost ran around the track 20 times. By itself, that makes sense. But the placement of almost is incorrect here because its placement indicates that the athlete almost ran, which isn't true. Instead, the intended meaning is that the athlete ran and almost made it running 20 times around. So we need to change the sentence, the athlete almost ran around the track 20 times, to the athlete ran around the track almost 20 times. It may not be the way that we would typically say it, but keeping in mind that you always want to put the modifier closest to the word it modifies, in this case being the word ran, that's what needs to be done. Example number 3. Because Lou was not feeling well, he only wanted some rest and relaxation. Once again, a sentence that pretty much makes sense if you're just listening to someone talking. But when you pick it apart, which is what's expected of you on the ACT, it could have other meanings. It can be improved by placing only closest to the words it modified, which is rest and relaxation. To fix it, the sentence is going to read more clearly. Because Lou was not feeling well, he only wanted rest and relaxation. Instead, change that to, because Lou was not feeling well, he wanted only some rest and relaxation. It's a minor change. And both sentences probably make sense as far as when you're just reading it. But for the ACT, when they're giving you a choice on where a word goes in a sentence, put modifiers closest to the word that they describe. Similarly, to words, you place modifying phrases and clauses closest to the words they modify. Here's an example. So we had 3 easy ones as far as words go. Now when you're adding whole phrases, it can also affect the way a sentence is read. The business manager needed someone to watch over the accounting with experience. The business manager needed someone with experience to watch over the accounting. See the difference in those two sentences. With experience is the modifier. The business manager needed someone with experience. And those two phrases are not near each other. When you're fixing it, it will. Someone with experience should be close together. Another sentence. The doctor handed the prescription to his patient. That was to help with the symptoms. All right, what is it that's being modified? The prescription is the thing that's supposed to help with the symptoms, right? They're pretty far away in that sentence. So instead we change it to the doctor handed the prescription that was to help with the symptoms to his patient. Finally, with modifiers, one will have to recognize dangling modifiers. These are phrases or clauses that unintentionally change intended meanings because of words left out. Make sure to read the sentences before and after the question on the English test to help you identify the context of what the writer intends. Then dangling modifiers are easier to spot. So you want to read the sentences before the sentence in question and after to make sure that everything makes sense. Here's an example. While studying the effects of weather, a storm showed up on Mark's radar. The incorrect example can be interpreted that the storm was studying the effects of weather. More explanation is necessary to have the sentence take on its intended meaning. So the modifier must be moved closest to the word it modifies, so in this case it's Mark. So Mark, while studying the effects of weather, had a storm show up on his radar. Knowing what was actually going on, that Mark was the guy who was studying, maybe in a sentence before or after, helps you identify those dangling modifiers. In conclusion, take time to make sure modifiers are placed properly, as close to the words they modify as possible.